UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast, here on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi, and joining me are my co-hosts, Justin Oser and Brandon Shea-Mutala. Justin, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a distress call. The Tholians are attacking a ship. Oh, that sounded better in my head. But anyway, I'm excited to talk about this, partly because the Tholians are mentioned, at least, in this one. But yeah, doing pretty good today. It's great that we're talking about more short trek stuff.
Yeah. Brandon, how about you?
I'm doing really good here. I'm looking really forward to discussing this short trek that was clearly directed by Quentin Tarantino. And out of all the characters that I was really surprised to see come back from the Tarantino universe was the Gimp from Pulp Fiction, wearing a Starfleet uniform. So that was really fascinating. So,
sure, yeah.
Okay, that there was something in the back of my head that I'd seen something like that before, and I did not make the connection. So there we go. Just one more reason why Tarantino should be given green light on a Star Trek movie.
See, my alternate introduction was Captain Pike's future Gimp Pulp Fiction cosplay is like second to none. That was my alternate joke.
Just don't do those things to Pike, please. Okay. Moving on.
All right. Well, so before we talk about any of that, we have news. First off, John Delancey was talking a little more about Q and what he's going to be doing in Picard. And he says that he will be spread across 6 episodes of season 2 and 3. And they're going to be running right from 2 into 3, filming them back to back so that it's all done, I guess, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
We got everybody there, and with COVID issues, might as well just finish it. Right?
Yeah, I think there had been a little bit of reporting that maybe that's what they were doing, but I don't think it had been really confirmed until John Delancey. He's getting really chatty in these videos that he's doing this comes from, he's doing it on Cameo, which is a service where people can, I guess, pay or donate to have a star record stuff for them, a personal message. So he's recording these personal messages, and like people are posting them around. And yeah, so they're doing seasons 2 and 3 back to back, which I think is cool. That means that there won't be as much of a gap between 2 and 3, presumably.
Right.
And he's in 6 episodes, which I think is great. I love Q and can't wait to see like what is going on with that. I think that'll be really cool. So,
yes.
Brandon, what do you think?
I'm excited to hear this, but I'm also kind of disappointed because, like, clearly John Delancey doesn't give a damn about NDAs, and I mean, I kind of wish some of this stuff would be a surprise.
Yeah, I agree.
Like when Jonathan Frakes was all like, oh yeah, I direct an episode in the Mirror Universe when he's talking about season 1 of Discovery, then you're just like waiting for them to go to the Mirror Universe, and then you're coming up with all these ideas. And to me, it affects my enjoyment of the series, right? I would rather not know that stuff.
I do think probably someone from CBS will be talking to him about this shortly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Q is now in 0 episodes. See you later.
Yeah. No, but I agree. Although, we don't actually know what Q's role is or what he's doing. But yeah, it would have been a nice surprise. Like, oh, he's in more than one episode. Oh, he's in more than one season. That would have been a cool surprise. But
yeah.
But still.
Or they could... Yeah. They could change it up. John Delancey is no longer in 6 episodes. Corbin Burnson is going to be in 6 episodes.
There we go. Or maybe Susie Plaxton, so the female Q will come back in his place. John Delancey will be there for...
John Delancey's son.
John Delancey will be there for... Oh, his son, yeah. I was going to say John Delancey will be there for 2 seconds and then snap fingers and be like, it's me! Yeah. It's actually the female Q.
Oh, that's funny.
But anyway, I think it's exciting. Like, they're working on it. They're doing stuff. And I think there was another one... I didn't have it in here because it was kind of part of another article, but I think in one of these cameo videos also he had confirmed that Guinan will be in Picard, which we had heard, last year, but wasn't confirmed at First Contact Day, but he seemed to be confirming that. And also that Q and Guinan would be sharing the screen in some episode, which is very much appreciated. I want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yay!
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
What if it's like a flashback and they had a love affair?
That would be interesting. Weird.
That would be interesting.
Or a love triangle with Picard. No.
Oh my.
Ew.
I don't know. Q does end up in bed with Picard at one point. So anyway. Tapestry.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going way off course here.
No, that's all right. Have we heard, is Picard still only planning to be 3 seasons? Do you know?
We don't know that.
Okay. Because I feel like at some point they said it was just going to be a 3-season run.
I think like early on after it was announced, there was some talk. Maybe it was from Patrick Stewart or one of the showrunners. Like, yeah, maybe this will just be a 3-season thing. But that was a while ago, and I don't know. I mean, it could very well be, and then they could wrap it up and say, "Hey, there's a place in the slot for Section 31 or whatever," which might happen. So I don't know. They haven't really said, but it could be, and yeah.
I think Patrick Stewart said that they have a story that could be 3 seasons, right? But that doesn't mean that the show will be done at the end of 3 seasons. That's just what they have right now would be enough of a story to go 3 years, and then maybe they would just do something different after that.
All right, and our next piece of news is that the filming of Discovery Season 4 has been slightly delayed, paused, because somebody on set was exposed to COVID and may have exposed other people to COVID, so everything has to lock down. So we might have to wait a little bit longer for Season 4 of Discovery, but it's worth it so that people are not getting desperately ill or getting their loved ones desperately ill and all the way down the line.
I think it's good they're taking precautions. I mean, I think what happened was that, somebody who all they could say is involved in primary onset activities may have been exposed to someone who tested positive for COVID during some off-set hours. So as a precaution, they were pausing the production for 2 weeks. So when this episode comes out, I think if everything has gone well, they're supposed to start production again, a couple days after I think this episode comes out. So about a temporary delay. I mean, and also something we hadn't talked about was for Strange New Worlds, there was a guest star that was supposed to come in, or maybe we talked about that. That was supposed to come in. Yeah, we did talk about that. We did talk about that, yeah. So, and that was more like, they stopped them before they got on set, no big deal. But this person was somebody who was on set, who was exposed to someone else. But I mean, I think it's good they have precautions and this kind of thing. Well, unfortunately happened, so it's a couple week delay. But
I wonder how far into the season they're filming, because that trailer was pretty complete that we saw a few weeks ago. I
think they're pretty... I mean, they've been shooting since November. That was 6 months ago. So, and these things are taking longer during COVID, and I think there was something at some point that instead of finishing in May or June, maybe it would be more like September or October. So it's going to take longer to film, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were close to halfway through the season, which may be 5 out of 10 episodes, because I think they'll have fewer episodes with all the precautions they have to take and stuff. But I think they're probably about halfway through by this point, because they did have a good amount of footage for that trailer. I think they're pretty well along. And we'll see if it fits into actually coming out later this year, maybe in December. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of a shame, but it's good they're being safe about it. So. It's all Canada's fault, Brandon.
It is. It is. Frickin' Canadians. Ontario's, like, we got a lot of really bad hotspots in Canada right now. Like, it's kind of a mess up here. That. Yeah, like Alberta, BC, like BC and Ontario, like, locked their borders. So, like, they were trying to prevent interprovincial travel, and Regina, I mean, we don't have high numbers like they are in the States, but people are pretty concerned. Like, Regina, itself, the city that I live in, was the hot spot in the province, and we have now had the most amount of cases in the province. I mean, we're not the biggest city; we're the second biggest city, but things are pretty rough right now. So I think I'm still hoping that everything's good by the fall. So.
Well, hopefully, if you vaccinate enough people. We've made really good progress here in the U.S., but we are bumping up against some hesitancy, unfortunately. But we've got, I don't know, close to 40% of the population that have gotten at least one dose, so that's something. But yeah, it's I think for everyone that thinks, the pandemic's ending and everything's going to be fine very soon, there's still going to be things like this that pop up, unfortunately.
Yeah, there will.
But anyway.
Listeners, if you have not been vaccinated, if you're in the United States every state, if you're over the age of 16, you can get vaccinated. There's a lot of places that are sitting on vials of the vaccine because they have run through all of the people who were get out and go to do it. So if you haven't had the opportunity yet, if you haven't been able to find a place, you'll be able to find a place. Just jump on, look at your local health department.
Completely.
I got my first dose today, so I'm pretty happy about that. So.
Thank you, Brandon, for doing your part. Yeah, and I get my second one probably in a couple weeks. So
yeah, I have a friend. I won't say who, but he was telling me that he drove. He couldn't find him in his state, so he drove 3 hours to another state where they're not as much of the population is getting vaccinated because they don't want to, and so he's like he got both of his doses in that state. So.
Interesting.
However,
but
you gotta
listeners,
do
if you haven't gotten vaccinated and is available for your age group or category, please do so. It's just so important, just so we can start to get more back to normal and put an end to this. But
yes, people who are headed to STLV this fall, we want to be able to do that.
Yeah,
and we want to be able to see everybody in Chicago next year,
except me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As
like
many
I said,
people
I
as
won't be
possible
going,
in
but as
Chicago
many people
next
as possible, but let's keep it safe. But anyway, Star Trek continues shooting, so that's
it does
good.
indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Next piece of news is that the campaign to get LeVar Burton to host at least some of Jeopardy has been successful. He is listed as the second to last guest host, which I've heard some people say is a good thing because it's easy transition into him doing it full time. So we'll see.
Let's be honest. He's going to blow this thing out of the water, and they'll have to bring him on as the permanent host. I was so excited about this. I'm a big fan of Jeopardy. I've been watching it since I was a kid. It's a huge institution here in the U.S., and Alex Trebek was host for many years before he unfortunately passed away. And they've been kind of going through all these guest hosts, right? But LeVar Burton, it would be so perfect. He's just such a wonderful person, just has a great charm and personality and all of that, and I think he's going to kill it. So that's in late July, right, that he's going to be on? Yeah.
They're filming it now. He tweeted out a picture, or his daughter did, that they're filming it now, and I'm like,
I didn't realize. They do it a couple months in advance. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So that's cool. Is Jeopardy a big thing in Canada, Brandon?
We watched it a lot when I was a kid. Like, my parents would watch it every night. I never continued watching it when I grew up. I mean, I probably won't tune into this because I don't have cable, right? So I'm probably not going to watch the episode that he's on. I think he would be great for it, honestly. It's just that I don't watch game shows, right? So, but I think he'd be fantastic. I don't think he's going to get the job. I think they've already decided who's going to have the job, and they're only responding to fans demanding that he comes on there. I think I don't agree.
I don't think they've decided it yet.
Yeah, I hope he gets it. He would be fantastic. He would be perfect for it.
So yeah. But anyway, thought that would be fun to talk about here. It's not. I mean, it's related because it's LeVar Burton, who's of course Geordie, but it's very cool because they had a petition. They got hundreds of thousands of people to sign to get him on the show, which is really cool. So fingers crossed.
And a lot of the Trek cast who are on Twitter did.
Dick Van Dyke tweeted that LeVar Burton needs to be on Jeopardy.
Awesome.
Yes.
That is so cool.
And Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So I'm looking forward to it. Here in the States it's on network TV. And my mother-in-law has cable and network TV, so I'll definitely be watching it for sure every night, faithfully.
It's in syndication, so.
I think they'll have a Star Trek category sometime that week.
I hope so. I hope they have a category that's just called Geordie barrel rolls. Just see how we
even
can
better.
On that.
Geordie date night.
Oh
man, Geordie's sad love life for $500. Yeah.
That is sad.
But anyway, it's super cool that he's doing that.
Yeah, that's going to be good. That's gonna be very good. Last piece of news, going from something very fun to sad news, and this is tangentially Star Trek related because it's NASA related. Apollo 11's Michael Collins died last week at the age of 90. So, 90, not too bad, especially having been an astronaut. As I think it's Greg Proops that says when somebody reaches that age, it's not a tragedy, it's a triumph. So I like to think of it that way for that age. But
it's Yeah, I mean, it is sad to see, people pass away that are part of, an important part, I think, of human history, part of the mission that landed the first people on the moon, which, hopefully, getting toward being a springboard toward getting people on Mars and things like that, and getting toward more a Star Trek future. But yeah, Michael Collins was kind of in the orbiter as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were walking around on the moon and doing their thing there. And so he was just kind of up all alone there, right? But doing something really good. So now I think with his passing, it's only Buzz Aldrin of those three that are still alive. So yeah. But I think the whole space race in the 60s was, I think, a big inspiration for Star Trek and people's interest in space and space science and stuff like that, and the things that NASA and other agencies do are still like a big inspiration for people thinking about the future in space. So yeah, I think it's just important to acknowledge the people that have come before that are hopefully in the future helping to make that kind of thing possible.
Well, you just look at that Nichelle Nichols documentary about her working with NASA. So it's definitely, Star Trek has definitely been inspirational in that way.
And 90 is a great age, right? Like 90 is a really great age. I mean, it's nothing makes you feel mortal like having kids. I know that you guys don't have kids. I've got kids, right? But nothing makes you feel mortal like having kids. Like I find myself quite often, like I see my daughter at 10 and I'm like, okay, so my daughter's 10 and she's doing these things. And when I was 10, that was only 30 years ago. And like, so in 30 years, my daughter's going to be 40, which I don't feel very old, but I'm going to be 70, right? Like, so it's like, life feels short, but then I sit there and think, I'm like, okay, so I really became kind of the person I am at age 20, which is only, like teenage years and whatnot. You're in high school, you're still learning who you are. But so 20 years ago, I became who I am. If I live to be 90, that's 50 years. So that's like 2.5 times of this adult life that I had. So that's a long way away, Like, so I don't know. Time is funny, and
I feel that way too. Like in some ways, it seems like life is short, and like, how did I get to be as old as I am? Not that I'm really old, but I'm only 41. But at the same time, it does feel long. Like there is space and time and years to do things where it's like, wow, all the stuff that I did in the last year or 10 years, that's amazing, So, but yeah, I hope to live to be at least 90 and beyond. So I think it's a good age, and it's good to. I like when we kind of reflect on someone's contribution to humanity, basically. So that's really cool.
And the space race and the astronauts were definitely a major influence on me as a child. Like I'm still. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, right? And I mean, I still am very fascinated with space travel, and I long for us growing as a species, and reaching these destinations. And I long to see what's going to happen when people get to Mars, and start colonizing Mars. So, I think that'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah. It will be, yeah. And I'm thinking we're going to a place where somewhere in our lifetimes it'll be affordable enough for us to travel into space. I think that would be really cool. So we'll have to just reserve some time, the three of us, to record a podcast in space in, I don't know, 20 or 30 years or something, right?
Sounds good.
I'm down for that.
On the 200th Star Trek series.
When they're just filming on the moon when they're on the moon. So it just works.
Wouldn't that be cool? They could film Star Trek on location, in space, in orbit of the Earth or the moon or Mars or anyway.
I love that idea.
Okay. I do too. I mean, maybe someday. You don't know. All right.
It would make the zero gravity scenes a lot easier in some ways.
Yeah, it would make the ones that are not zero gravity much harder.
Much harder.
Unless you had artificial gravity. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But I just love to think about that future where, maybe we could have space travel and all be able to look at the Earth from above and really appreciate, like, what it is and how important it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, that brings us to our topic for the day, and that is the episode of Short Treks called Ask Not. This is the one with Pike and the cadet, and there's an attack going on, and Pike has been delivered to her to watch because he's mutinied against the admiral that's there. Chaos ensues, as the saying goes. Anyway, so, Brandon, what were your first thoughts about this, and have your impressions of it changed since you saw it?
I don't think my impressions of it have changed. I really enjoy this short trek. My first impression of it was that I thought the twist was pretty predictable. The first time that I watched it, like I kind of knew what was going on. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, because in a 9-minute short, like not much is going to happen. So we're not going to see any long-term ramifications. I know Pike. I know that he's not going to be a criminal like this, and I don't know. So that was my initial impressions on it. Was okay. Yeah, this is going to clearly be a test, and I enjoy it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Agreed. What about you, Justin? You thought differently about this since then?
I love this one. I mean, I do feel somewhat differently about it this time because, I mean, it seems like unlike almost everybody else that watched this thing, I didn't actually see the twist coming. I thought the way that it was, because like sometimes I get so wrapped up in these things, I'm not thinking like outside the walls of like the episode. So I was getting really into it and I was like, oh, what's going on here? And yeah, what Pike's saying is reasonable. Maybe he did have a reason to disobey orders for that. And my big thing was, oh my God, they're talking about the Tholians. Are we going to see Tholians in this short trek? Like that was where my head was going. So I was all excited about it. And then it was like, oh shoot, it's a simulation. So like the first time I saw it, again, unlike almost everybody else I've heard talk about this, I didn't actually see it coming, and for me it didn't seem predictable. And watching it now, again, knowing that that's happening, I see it in a couple of ways. I see it as like a character study for Cadet Sadu, and kind of who she is and how she thinks about things. It gives some history as well, right? Like, yeah. Her and her husband did, in reality, like, were the only survivors of a terrible Tholian attack. That's pretty heavy, right? Yeah. But then also, like, I think at the time that I saw this was before Strange New Worlds was announced, and they had the engineering set at the end, or whether it was CGI or whatever, I was like, okay, if I didn't think before they're going to have this show, they're definitely going to have this show, or they wouldn't have gone to the expense in this 9-minute short that not everybody's going to see to do that. So I love it. I think it's a really great short. It makes good use of the format and like introduce us to this character. I hope we see Sadu in Strange New Worlds. I think that would be really cool just to see what she's got going on. If she's still a cadet, it's later and she's an ensign or whatever. So yeah. What about you, Chrissie?
I was thinking that too, that I hope we see her. Yeah. It'd be nice to have that kind of continuity. Yeah. At least once. So. Yeah. Justin, I, like you, did not see it coming the first time.
All right. Okay.
Well, you see a situation like that, and you know that Pike is going to be the one who's right. So, and you're watching it in context of, Discovery having been basically a show about at that point, about a mutineer who has since come back into the fold. So my thought was, there's a Admiral that's getting in Pike's way to doing the right thing. So, and then I saw the simulation. I felt like the jump to revealing that it was a simulation was very abrupt.
Yeah.
And it was just an immediate, like, okay, calm down, it's okay. This is gonna be fine. And I almost feel like there's like medical personnel talking to him in the background, like, okay, her heart rate's too high to continue this. She's done what she's needed to, or something.
Okay.
Because it was very abrupt. So for me,
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I thought that too, because like, and you guys have said something here that I guess I'll go to that one first. Is that we're going through this, and I'm knowing it's a simulation. However, with Star Trek, how many times have we seen our captains and crew disobey orders and be justified for it? And so here we've got this rule where it's like, you've got a person who has definitely got what sounds like a reasonable explanation for what's going on, and had this not been a training mission, every other interpretation of Star Trek of this would have been the cadet helping him and they take over the ship again.
Yeah.
That's how Star Trek would have told this, I understand in the past. So as far as this being a training simulation, I think a lot of coming of age, with Wesley Crusher's simulation there. And so I don't think like the training mission is like out of line or anything like that. But also the way that they're presenting this, when Pike is like breaks out of his cuffs, she should be shooting him.
Yeah.
Right? Even if he says calm down, she should still be shooting him because this prisoner is now like escaping.
But I thought he broke out of the cuffs after it was clear it was a simulation, like the screen said it was a simulation.
It happens.
He did say
no.
But
He was standing there and he's like, okay, we're good, calm down. And he clicks out. And then like a voice comes on that says we're all good. But I mean, like at that point, she should have been shooting him.
Maybe. I think she was just so surprised based on how he was before and this complete change in demeanor that she didn't quite know what to do for a minute. But yeah.
And then with him being a captain, he could easily just walk over there and like reprogram the computer or whatever and like probably shut off an alarm if he escaped and whatnot. So like even there at that point, it's still not quite believable if this is a simulation.
Maybe, unless you know, they couldn't take him to the brig, but they were still able to lock him out of the systems if it were taking the logic of it being something real. Maybe, but I can see that. I mean, I think that I really enjoy it. I think it's a
really
good short.
good.
Yeah,
it's really good. And like you said, it makes wonderful use of the format.
This has caused me to think that maybe the thing we've been calling the Kobayashi Maru is just one example of these types of tests that people have to go through. And it was just the Kobayashi Maru came to be the one that was most popularly given in Kirk's era or something like that. Right, so the scenario is reminiscent of what Wesley deals with in Coming of Age, like you said, Brandon. And there's a feeling of also what Troy deals with in Thine Own Self. Mm-hmm. So there is that. Yeah, because if you keep giving the same test over and over again, people are going to figure out how to deal with it. And I realize that it's not about getting to the answer, because there isn't a necessarily correct answer.
I feel like, I think I feel the way you do, Brandon. The Kobayashi Maru is a specific kind of test that cadets get at some point in their Starfleet Academy, education or whatever. That's a standard thing. But there can be other tests for other levels of things. And in this case, it was a test for, I guess, whether she could handle things and be on the Enterprise, right? So I feel like this is a different level, which maybe takes it to a different thing. Like, I've already done the Kobayashi Maru, I've already done the simulations or whatever, but what's this thing? But and for what Wesley does, it's a different thing related to the specific test to get in, right? So I think they have different levels, and the Kobayashi Maru is just one kind of test for where they are in their education at that point.
Yeah. See, I think the Kobayashi Maru is specifically for people who want to be on the command track.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, like, not everybody is going to want to take the Kobayashi Maru. And yes, so I would lump this in the category of what Wesley went through. Kobayashi Maru, I think, is a test where they're like, okay, hi, I'm this person, and I will be taking the Kobayashi Maru test because I want to be a captain. Where this test here is like an unprepared, like you're not prepared for it. It just happens at a certain point. Like Wesley's thing, it just happened. He didn't know when it was going to happen. He didn't know what the test was going to be.
And I have to say,
like Wesley knew there was some kind of test.
He knew something would happen.
He didn't know what it was.
Yeah, but I think even the first time I saw Coming of Age, I didn't realize that was actually part of the test. I thought something like really went wrong all of a sudden.
Well, yeah.
I should have known that.
I think everybody thought that the first time.
Yeah, I did too the first time I saw Coming of Age, but having Coming of Age as a backdrop, I kind of saw where this one was going. So, and then same with Troy. Like Troy is going for the bridge crew. So while that's not the Kobayashi Maru test, because the Kobayashi Maru is for captains, this test that Troy had to go through is to be a bridge officer. And a bridge officer, a full commander, that's the difference between lieutenant commander and commander. Lieutenant commander is you're almost there, but you can't really be in charge of the bridge. Now, I know it's not 100%, but this is kind of how I got it in my head.
You can if a couple officers are away, but yeah.
Right, exactly. But a command person, that's in a disaster situation. But a commander is a person who can be put in charge of the bridge while the captain's away or the first officer's away or whatever. So that's kind of the difference between the two. Like which doesn't completely track because Data's a lieutenant commander and he's always in charge of the bridge, right? So,
Yeah.
He's special.
See, I always thought of that as Troy's Kobayashi Maru, that they just they've shifted the test over time, or they give different people a different test depending on who they were. For Troy to deal with the Kobayashi Maru test is going to be a very different thing for her than having to send somebody she knows very well and who is empathically connected to their death.
But if she wasn't going for command, I think what we're saying is she wouldn't have had to take the Kobayashi Maru because she wasn't on a command track.
She's still in the medical division, right?
Yeah, medical science. So
because like Worf Worf, when you originally see him, he's in red. He's on the command track.
Yeah.
And then because he is like working with Yar and he's placed in that position after Yar dies, he gets transferred to security. Now, he spends the next 6 years in security. And when he goes over to D Space Nine, they put him back on the command track. Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, at that point, he would then go to have a Kobayashi Maru if he wants to keep being a captain or whatnot. You know, like in the book, Worf is captain of the Enterprise in the what is it, Last Best Hope?
Yeah.
Right. They say that he got there. So at some point, he would have had to have taken the Kobayashi Maru. He may have taken it in the Academy. He may not have. Right. I mean, if we saw him in red.
We need more on this. We need the Starfleet Academy series to clear up all these questions for us.
Yeah, but with Troy and her test, like in that case, it was Geordi. Like on some other ship, like let's say this was on Voyager, and Harry Kim is trying to become a commander, right? Like he's been promoted a couple times. He's trying to become a commander. That his thing may have been his test would have been like an away mission with Tom Paris. And he would have to send Tom Paris to his death. It's a question of being able to know that you have to make that decision that the ship itself is more important than your friendship, and that's the cost of being in command.
Yeah,
Right.
And that actually does connect. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it makes sense what you're saying.
It does connect well with what our cadet Situ is going through here, because she's basically being told that her husband is probably dead.
Yeah.
You know, or at least he was on this ship where the attack was, so she might assume that.
I mean, they went to a lot of effort for this. There's like, explosion special effects. It's almost like they have like a production crew outside of this room or something. It's kind of interesting.
Well, they did with Wesley too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a production, right? Like it's like, wow, like okay, that's a lot of effort and a lot of, behind the scenes people like planning this and doing the special effects and like choreographing. I mean, like it just feels like it's a lot to put together. Yeah.
But to me, there's a reason for that, right? Because like with the Kobayashi Maru and with what Troy took, those are planned tests and they know that they're tests. And these ones here are stress tests. How are these people going to react under pressure? And you can't react properly under pressure if you know that this is just a simulation. You're not going to react properly. If you don't know that it's a simulation, that's when you're going to be getting a more accurate response from the person taking the test.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But I don't think they need. What's the joke about the people who install the rocks in the consoles or something like that?
In the ceiling?
But you can extrapolate holography to that. That room that Wesley ran into, he did not know was a holodeck, and then that takes care of it.
That could be, yeah. But
I buy it.
I think it's I think it's interesting to see this one, and it also confirms for me, like, if Starfleet was real, I don't think I'd want to be in it. Like, I love Star Trek and seeing people in Starfleet, but man, that is a lot of stress. That's a lot of, like you could have to make a decision to send someone to their death or whatever. But I just admire that they can go through this. But I'm going to say it wouldn't be for me. I think if we actually had something like Star Trek, I would definitely be on Earth just having fun podcasting or something, right? Like, I don't think I'd be in Starfleet. That's just me. Would you guys, would you want to go through something like this if it had all this stress to get there?
No.
I would probably, honestly, I probably would. I think I would like to be in Starfleet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would. I have been a manager, and I mean, like, I've said it before on podcasts. I wasn't a very good manager, okay? But I've also changed a lot in the last 10 years since I've been a manager. And I think I am ready in my life that I could probably become a manager again. Okay. I'm kind of content in the role that I'm in right now, but I have recently applied for some management type jobs.
Okay.
And, even 2 years ago, somebody mentioned that I should be a manager, and I literally had a panic attack. Right?
Oh.
Because at that time I wasn't ready, because just the thought of being in charge again. I think I've gotten past that now. And when I applied for these jobs, I did not have a panic attack. But I think I could do it. And when I was a manager, and before I realized that I wasn't a good manager, I also was able to differentiate between friendships outside of work and friendships at work. And, like I had some people that I was pretty hard on at work. And then outside of work, we went on a trip to a mountain and we did hiking. And I actually had somebody that I didn't get along with at work be like, I do not understand how you can hang out with Brandon outside of work. And that guy was like, it is different. When he's not at work, it's completely different than when he is at work. And I personally know that there's a difference between the two. So not everybody does. And that's where the hardship comes in.
I appreciate you sharing that. And if we do have that Star Trek Starfleet future, thank you for keeping all of us safe, I guess.
Yeah, if we do have that Starfleet future, I'm killing you both.
Holographically to prove that you can, right? That's
I see.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Chrissy, I'm just curious. Like, if Starfleet were a real thing and we lived in that universe, would you do it?
No. I'd be the civilian professor of history at the academy.
You'd be doing what you do now, basically, but a different institution.
Yes, I know that sounds ridiculous, but
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's important, right? People need to know their history, right?
Yeah, it is.
Then you can send them off to space, and they can take the risks.
Yep. And I'll stay here on Earth, and I'll go to Risa for a vacation, and go to Mars, go to the moon.
Sounds wonderful.
Travel and then just go back to teaching. Yeah. It'd be tenure track. I bet Starfleet Academy does not have adjuncts. At least ones who don't want to be.
We're already planning like what our future would be like if this could happen. Yeah. But okay.
Well, what about you, Justin? I mean, you said you'd be hanging out doing podcasts, but
maybe podcasts, maybe music stuff. I may have mentioned it here before, but I've been helping with promotion for my wife's band and some other artists. We have like a music label. I would like totally, if I didn't have to worry about income, I would be putting everything into that music label because I think music is an important part of people's lives and I love to contribute to that. So yeah, I would definitely do something like that, but I would not be in Starfleet.
See, you could be the civilian who is scheduling the concerts in 10 Forward and arranging for those to happen.
That'd be cool. And I could curate the music libraries on starships and starbases, right?
There you go.
Maybe. I don't know what
See,
people
but
would think about that.
Even there, like, you still got to be a special kind of person to be working in 10 Forward on a ship like the Enterprise. Like, what's that guy's name? Ben from Lower Decks? Is it Ben?
Oh, yeah.
You're still in danger every other week, right? Even though you're a civilian.
I would be a civilian on Earth. I would not be on a civilian on a starship, just to be clear. But yeah, all those people are in the same amount of danger. It's like, oh boy, somebody's attacking us today. That's great. I just came here to serve people drinks and food, and we're being attacked,
Yeah. But then again, the Breen attacked Earth.
It's true. I mean, things are going to happen, but it seems like Earth is attacked less often than Starfleet ships.
That's
overall.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah.
At least the Enterprise.
It's the Enterprise, yeah. I was very excited that Tholians got a mention here, and probably had an unrealistic hope they would show up in a 9-minute short. But, I mean, the Tholians, they're in the Tholian web, and of course in the 3rd season of TOS. It's a great episode. I love how alien and different they are. They were on... Enterprise in the Mirror Universe? Is that right? Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is fantastic.
And in the regular universe.
Future tense. That's right. Yeah, but you don't... I think you see Tholian ships, but you don't see the Tholians themselves in future tense. Yeah. So like
them. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically we've had, one episode that focused on them, which was Tholian Web, and then saw them a little bit in A Mirror Darkly, and then, there was a Tholian ship in future tense. So very little. But in the novels, which of course we love to read, there's lots of stuff about the Tholians, and it's really fascinating and all of that. My hope is that in Strange New Worlds, we get at least one episode where we see Tholians and get to know more about them, and I would love to see that because I find them super interesting, and they've done some great stuff with them in the novels. So I hope there was a reference in there because someone who's making the show is really interested in bringing Tholians in. But do you think that is a possibility?
I would love to see that. So I'm also going to take a second to promote a previous podcast that I was on called Warp 5.
Yeah.
And episode 187 of Warp 5, we had James Swallow on, and we actually talked about the Tholians. We had a wonderful conversation with him because he had recently written a Discovery novel at the time about Saru, and the Tholians were in there. So I'm like, I want to get him on to talk about the Tholians. So Patrick and I had James Swallow on, and it was a great discussion.
It was a really great discussion, and the Tholians are really interesting in that novel, Fear Itself, as well. Again, like, the Tholians have appeared relatively often in the novels, and it's always been really, really great. So, you think that might happen, Chrissie will get some Tholians somewhere along the line?
It's certainly possible. No reason why not. In fact, there's more reason to see them now than there even was before because it's so much easier to do the CGI.
That's true, yeah. And I mean, I feel like they've been underutilized. Like, we've only really seen them a little bit, so we need to see more. For
something that is, for a group that's supposed to be such a big threat. So that's,
If we do, I want an explanation for how we get Tholian silk.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That would be
because
cool.
like I picture like don't we get silk from like caterpillars?
You get them from like caterpillars, worms, yeah.
Silkworms. Yeah.
Silkworms. So like Tholians are really hot, right? And if they could produce this silk in the same way as like worms and stuff, this has got to be durable.
But is it actually said on screen that the Tholians themselves produce it as opposed to some creature that's on their homeworld or something?
I would rather believe that this is Tholian poo that's making silk than Tholian worms.
Okay.
So
it never occurred to me that it wasn't the Tholians themselves who were producing the silk.
I just wasn't sure.
It would not that would be a very strange commodity.
I mean, we also need to know like how that we probably don't need to know this, but like they have to live in such a hot environment. Like, what happens to waste products in such a hot environment? Like, what is that like? Or is it like a crystal pellet or something that can't be, I don't know, burned? I don't know what. It's just there's so many questions about how you live like that.
Well, if they urinate, okay, then the atmosphere is so hot that it would just evaporate, right away.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
I don't think we want to go too much further. But so what? Do they just like urinate out like anywhere and it just evaporates right away? Oh boy, I've gone too far.
So I know nothing about listeners. Teach me about silkworms. Okay, I didn't think that the silk that the worms are producing is a waste product. It's a thing like a spider produces a web.
Yeah.
It's not but I might be wrong about that. And so I didn't figure either. It was, I didn't figure it was Tholian waste product. I kind of just figured it was like a spider web.
Here we go, Brandon. I have a story here that the 3rd episode of Strange New Worlds Season 1 is all about Tholian silk and how it's produced.
I love it.
It'll be great.
It better be a musical.
Tholians, the musical, yeah. Seriously, though, no. I really hope so, because it is definitely one of those like fascinating species introduced in TOS that we just don't see enough of. We really don't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And just picture that for a second. Tholian singing. Because you've heard Tholian voices on the show. It's crazy.
It's pretty hard to listen to, but.
Yeah.
Well, maybe those are all people with non-singing voices. Tholians with non-singing voices.
Yeah.
I don't know. If we're going to see Tholians, I want to see reference to Vanguard. That's all I'm going to say on that.
That would be cool.
Because that would be good.
But that's we wouldn't, because that's Vanguard takes place during the TOS era, right?
So it wouldn't.
Which would be after Strange New Worlds.
It should be after Strange New Worlds, because Vanguard starts in 2265-ish?
I guess the station's there already, right? So the station would be there. So.
Well, the events that prompt the building of Vanguard would happen about the time that we're at.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Let's just have Vanguard. Just somebody, please.
Somebody call Dayton.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure to talk about Tholians, and we did.
We digress, but Tholians are interesting.
I did want to mention one other thing. I think the actor that plays Sidhu, I think it's Amrit Kaur, she does a great job. I mean, I think that she manages to really like infuse a lot into the character in this short time, and I hope we see her. And also, this is the short trek written by Kalinda Vasquez, who we had found out a couple months ago was assigned to write a Star Trek movie.
Oh, that's right. Since
then, I'd seen some reporting that her script may not be the one that actually is for the 2023 Star Trek movie. I don't know. I think that would be weird, but I don't know what'll happen.
I feel like there's a room somewhere on the Paramount lot that is just unused scripts for Star Trek movies.
It's just a big pile.
At this point, it's just,
We'll get something. It's going to be a Tholian movie. Yes.
Vanguard. All right. I'm going to bring up one
please, go ahead.
nitpicky thing that probably nobody else even cares about, but
I'll bet
it
Brandon
drives
cares
me.
about it.
Huh?
I said I'll bet Brandon cares about it. But go ahead.
I don't know.
I do more than just complain, okay? I do.
I didn't say that you only complained. I just said you care about certain things. That's all.
This is less of a complaint than I don't know what.
Okay.
Her hair drives me crazy.
Oh my goodness.
And all of the women, it's not just her hair in particular, I shouldn't say, because it's not particular her, but the idea that you have women in Starfleet doing whatever they're doing, and they have long hair, and it's down and in the way.
I totally thought. No, Chrissy, I actually thought about that this time, because I was like, if you have to do all this stuff in Starfleet, and you have to react to stuff and do all kinds of stuff, long hair, I would think, whether you're male or female or whatever gender, would get in the way, right? There should be a regulation that it has to be, in a Janeway-style bun of steel or something, right? I mean, like, something
like
out
Worf.
of the way.
Yeah.
But I totally thought about that this time.
All right,
I did not think about it, and I also don't care.
You don't care? I think it would be a real concern.
I don't know. Like I had short hair when I was a teenager for a little while, and then I cut it all off to look like Major Kira, her haircut. Oh. And then I grew it out again for a little while when I was in college.
Did you cosplay as Kira?
Not to well.
Good.
That was before I had cosplay as a word been invented yet in the mid '90s. I don't know. I did have a uniform, a Star Trek uniform, but yeah, and then I had it again like that for a little while in college, and I was just like, I'm not doing anything with this. I pull it back in a ponytail every day. There's no reason for me to have this and deal with it and cut it all off. Good.
It can be a pain. My wife had really long hair for a while, and I think she cut it shorter when it got so long it started getting caught in the car door as she closed the car.
Ooh, yeah.
Dear
that was the point at which it's like, all right, maybe it's a little too long. But yeah. I mean, it is a real thing. It can get in the way of stuff you need to do. So
yeah, anyway. It kept getting in her face, and I was just like, pull it back. Yeah.
I could see that.
Anyway, totally irrelevant things to talk about in a Star Trek podcast, but there it is.
Chrissy's hairstyle corner.
Long hair and Tholian silk.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Maybe Tholian silk is their hair.
Maybe.
Oh. There you go.
I don't know. We need to find out.
Justin, did you want to say anything else about engineering? Since that was
I did put it on here just because we see engineering, and I think it looks pretty interesting. I think it looks pretty different than how we might have seen like the 1701 engineering before, but I don't know. They have time to change it into something else. But I like that we saw that and thought it was cool, and that they'd already done that. I think meant they were going to have a show. So that's all. I like how it looks, but it is different.
Mm-hmm.
Looks just like the turbolift shaft, and that's all I'll say.
You mean
you saying that?
What you mean is I love it. Engineering is huge and amazing. Yeah.
All right. Well, besides the obvious, were there any other canon connections? We got the Tholians.
I have one.
We got Pike. Yeah, go ahead.
Pike talks about the reserve activation clause, which was used to recall McCoy in the motion picture, so that was a cool pull.
Yes, he does.
That's the only other one that I had. Is there anything
Brandon,
you saw, Brandon, that connects to other Trek?
No, I didn't catch anything else.
On a related note, also, how do people keep all the regulations in their head like that? It's just, I always find that no matter who's doing it, unless it's Data or Spock, quoting regulations at somebody, exactly letter and number, it just...
Here's a solution for you. In the future, they have developed the science of memory so much that you just get a monthly injection that really ups your ability for memory and recall.
Fascinating.
Works for me. Works for me.
Oh, and get my memory injection this month. Yep. But yeah, it is a lot of regulations to keep in your head. I mean, at the same time, I think if there's something that you've studied a lot, it gets in your head. Like,
certainly.
This is maybe a different thing, but, I used to work customer service, and, we would have all of these, product codes and stuff that we would, like 5-digit codes, and people would order stuff so much that you would absolutely memorize a bunch of them because you hear it so much. So maybe it's like that. They've just like drilled these regulations into their heads so much that they can recall a bunch of them, or whatever is relevant for the argument at the time. So Yeah. But I kind of like that they're quoting regulations back and forth.
Oh, I love it because I have a terrible memory. And so anytime I see people with a great memory like that, I'm just like, oh, I'm envious.
Jealous.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Although you're right about the retail thing. I'm going to shout out anybody who worked for Barnes & Noble in the early aughts. The Godiva bars that we'd sell at the counter did not have a barcode that would scan. So we had to type in X53 and then pick that it was a Godiva chocolate bar. And that was the only thing out of the cafe menu that I knew how to bring up.
Cool.
Completely irrelevant to anything. But if anybody else worked for Barnes & Noble in the late 90s, early aughts, first of all, tell me. And secondly, you know what I'm talking about. So, canon connections, random other things. What are our final thoughts?
It's a good episode. I like it a lot,
it.
and yeah, it's good. I got no problem putting this on. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a good installment. And again, watching it, and you see Pike for a lot of it, and then you see Spock in number 1 at the end. It just makes me like, I want Strange New Worlds right now, but I can't have it yet.
Yes.
So it just makes me excited for that, just thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. All right, Justin, where can people find you when you're not advocating for a Tholian series to Paramount Plus?
Oh, that would be that would be even better. A series from the Tholians' perspective. I really want that.
Star Trek Silk.
Maybe.
Star Trek Silk Road. And talk about the trade.
Maybe.
Oh.
Or it could just be Star Trek Hellish Heat. I don't know. Something like that.
Silk Trek.
Silk Trek. Silk Trek. How Tholians are the best. Okay, so you can find me on Twitter. I'm at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek. And you can find me in our Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers. I hope you'll join us there.
All right, and Brandon, where can people find you when you're not pondering the origins of various types of cloth of the 24th century?
And how poop can be used.
You can find me on Twitter at Brandon Matella. You can find me here on the network with another show called Franchise Fatigue, which is all about movies, remakes, and sequels. And you can find me over on the Fandom Podcast Network with a show called Good Evening, and Alfred Hitchcock Podcast, where we cover Hitch's films in chronological order. And this summer we got a fun lineup because we're going to be doing in chronological order his movies, and then we're going to throw in there the episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents that he directed. So we're going to have a very busy release over the next year, where we're going to be having multiple episodes a month. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We've been
still
recording
have time
them.
For us, right? I hope
we've recorded most of them already.
Oh, good,
so,
good,
over
okay.
the past several months, we've recorded the movie one, and we've recorded an episode of a short. That's
a good idea, because starting in August, we need you a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm glad that I did that. So,
Cool.
most of them were recorded and edited and ready to go. So, excellent.
All right. And you can find me in the threads for our episodes in the Federation Council Chambers on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter at the Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek, history, and leftist politics. You can also follow my work in history by liking the Facebook page my fellow historian partner Jason and I run, History with the Szilagys, and that's spelled Szilagys. And next week, we're going to be starting a new little short podcast called Caffeinated History. It's going to be little short bits of history to start your day on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Right now, yeah.
Will you have had something with caffeine right before you started?
Probably.
Good. Okay. So it's in the vein of drunk history, but not quite that crazy.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, okay. No, I like that. I'll still keep it. It's not drunk history, but
No.
I know. It's but I didn't think of that connection. I like that. That's good.
I just thought about that. If you call it that, you have to be on caffeine. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm ruining your
Yes,
thing.
no, I'm never not on caffeine. That's fine.
Okay, there we go.
We were thinking of like your morning wake up with history or something like
I could
that.
see that.
That was what we landed on. So, but anyway, you can get at that through the podcast link at the top of historywiththeszilagys.org. And eventually we'll get it to the point where you can actually find it in podcast players, but we're not quite there yet. So, all right. And UFP Network is home to lots of different podcasts. Brandon, would you like to tell us about those?
We've got Franchise Fatigue, which is all about movies, remakes, and sequels. Trek Pod, where Tony interviews Trek people that have worked on Star Trek. General Quarters is a military podcast with Ken Tripp, Abby Ambrose, and Travis Kreisman. All Good Things covers all Star Trek with Amy and Patrick, and every once in a while Ken is in there as well. And then Galaxy Class is all TNG with Rhea, Kevin, Amy, and Joe. And Mickey's Marvels has Chris Tribuzio, Patrick Devlin, and Casey Pettitt, and they talk all things under the Disney umbrella. And last but not least, we have Always Hold On to Arrow, which is hosted by Cavante Chillis and Lance Laster, covering that TV show, Arrow.
We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our current patrons and remind everyone that you can support our network for as little as $3 a month through Patreon. We've grown a great deal in the last year, and we're starting to push at the edges of our current podcast hosting tier on Spreaker. So we need to increase our storage, and that could be a bit pricey. So if you've ever thought about supporting us before, now's the time. Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers, Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music, and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. If you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at UFPEarth, and our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the UFP podcasts in our Facebook group called the Federation Council Chambers, or you can email us at infinitediversity@ufp.earth. On our next episode, we'll be talking about the short trek Children of Mars. Until then, peace and long life.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.
The one that was most popularly given in Kirk's era or something like that. Because it is reminiscent of Wesley, and it is in Coming of Age.
Was
it
that
is
the
reminiscent
cat?
of...
What was that?
That was my cat, some Buster Sneeze. My cat has hay fever.
That's funny.
You believe that. He's allergic to things, so...